Welcome to our Meet the Management series, where we speak with the leaders shaping the directions of businesses in South Africa. I'm Tabitha Oxford, and today I will be joined by Ricardo Gomes Da Silva at Galetti Corporate Real Estate. In this conversation, we'll unpack who Galetti is as a business, explore some of the key trends shaping the Gauteng property market, and discuss how shifting workplace dynamics are influencing demands across different sectors. We'll also take a closer look at the outlook for both industrial and commercial property this year, and whether one sector is likely to outperform the other in Gauteng's evolving market landscape. Thank you so much for joining us today. And jumping right in, can you maybe tell us a bit about yourself as a business leader and then tell us who Galetti as a property business is?
Sure. Thank you firstly for having me. It's always nice to touch base. So basically, in a nutshell, my name's Ricardo, MD of the auction business at Galetti Corporate Real Estate. Been doing this now, I actually thought about it the other day for close on 15 years. And it's just gone in a flash. We at Galetti offer quite a unique product offering to the market in that we've got various service lines in the business. We've got your traditional broking route that deals with sellers and leasing. That is really the market that's, sort of the more traditional type of market which everyone's quite used to. So it's your typical leasing for commercial property as well as sales. Then you've got your corporate services, which is more of a tenant representation where they look at your portfolio holistically and they can represent you, the tenant, and potentially re-gearing your property, getting your property to a rental closer related to a market related value. And that's on a bigger term. So we basically look at portfolios in that sort of service line. And then you've got auction, which is a far more expedited sales solution in that we take a property and we run it for an extended period of time, call it 4 to 6 weeks. We have a live auction where we put the property on a platform and we get the registered bidders to put their highest bid forward. So it's the most traditional way that an auction is run, and it's a highly competitive environment where we've seen some really great results over the years.
Amazing. One of the big subjects in 2025 was the return to work push, which must surely have impacted the property landscape in Gauteng. Can you share your insights around this?
Absolutely. So if you're looking across all the service lines at Galetti, we've definitely seen a marked improvement in people returning back to the traditional sort of work environment. Everyone knows about COVID and it being the natural sort of reset where the work from home became so normal, and platforms like this was actually just the norm for the 2 to 3 years. What's ended up happening is that there's been a huge push and drive for people to return back to the office. It always creates a personal aspect, either with your colleagues and getting meetings face to face. It really is more of a personal approach, and over the years, we've seen definitely a marked increase in people, either renting out or leasing their offices, or selling office space or commercial space that are fully tenanted, and there's a lot of end users that are looking at buying or renting again. So I would say we're probably 70% the way there with filling up all these spaces, but in a nutshell, there's been a huge increase and a huge demand for office space, specifically in South Africa actually.
You have recently released some data around the property sector. What is the outlook for industrial property for the year, and what is driving it?
Industrial property for me has always been quite a resilient asset class in that, there's always been a demand for tenanted industrial. It seems to be quite a resilient space where investors are buying these properties that have tenants already in place. And now, there's a huge sort of push for these tenants to actually renew their leases because it's so purpose-built. I think industrial just as a whole, out of all the sectors, has shown quite a bit of resilience over the past couple of years. Buyers are specifically looking for these big box industrials with one big tenant that have long-term leases in place. It's a lot easier to manage. No property is easy to manage, but it's a lot easier to manage when you're dealing with a big tenant with a long-term lease in place. It really does fit all types of investors. And we've seen a marked increase in buyers looking at vacant industrial. There's a lot of people where business and manufacturing is growing quite a bit in South Africa, and guys are looking to take up more space. So either they're looking at renting that space, or if they're really confident and happy with that area, they end up buying it, and they're there for the next 10 years. So as far as sector is concerned, I would say industrial I'd say particularly now is definitely the favour of the month.
And any insights around drivers in commercial property sectors?
I think, the drivers are, as we sort of touched on earlier, commercial is always an asset class that investors like. They like the reliability of a big corporate renting out the office space. They like the fact that if there's availability, having a full building, is only going to be generating positive yields. They're not going to be sitting and waiting for tenants to come. If you're looking at a building with a whole bunch of offices in it, and all of the tenants are signing 3-year leases, that it's a pretty stable investment. That these tenants are probably not looking at going anywhere else. And as a landlord, what more can you ask for than a fully let building with guys that have signed sort of long-term leases? So I think the move is definitely, from a consumer point of view, to go back to the offices, and the landlords are benefiting.
If you had to pick a winner between commercial and industrial in Gauteng, which would it be?
I'm always a fan of retail. Listen, I think commercial is definitely on the up and up. I think there's a huge demand for it, and I think it's only going to get bigger. But if I was a betting man, I definitely would look at industrial. I think industrial, as I said previously, very resilient sort of asset class at the moment. A lot of interest, whether it's vacant or tenanted. I would definitely say industrial at this stage. But it's not to say commercial is not going to be biting at the heels.
That's very good to know. And thank you so much for your time. I'm Tabitha Oxford, and that was Ricardo Gomes Da Silva.